Hello, all you nerds out there. I'm the ManNerd. And guess who I'm here with? It's totally different than every other time. I'm here with...
He lied. It's me again. I'm StephenShred.
Yep.
What's up?
I totally lied. Yep.
Video nerds.
So, we are going to do another episode of What's New in Anime. This is going to be a first of the year, January 2024. And I'm going to start us off, man. There's some good ones. And I actually did all of these, well, almost all of these, with StephenShred. Last time, I didn't really get into them until later because I was watching other anime, but now I watch way too much freaking anime. So, all my time is anime. So here we go. I jumped on board. We saw some new stuff we're going to talk about a little bit. First one I'm going to talk about is The Undead Unwanted Adventurer. This one, the cover art's super cool, which I've talked about before. This one actually drew me in because it's just a skeleton. He looks badass. And it's about this adventurer that pretty much goes into dungeons, and to try to make a living, he wants to be a high-class adventurer, dungeoneer, but he's not that good. And he ends up becoming undead. And there's some really cool elements to this. It's very D&D-esque, just like some other shows that we saw. But this one really piqued my interest, and I can't wait. It's got like D&D aspects to it. It reminds me of Elden Ring. It's pretty cool. So what do you think about this one, Mr. Shred?
I really liked it. I thought it was an interesting take, because usually when we have a character dying in the first episode, it becomes an isekai, and this isn't it. He just becomes something else. I thought that was pretty cool, and the music was just so good.
The music was so good. It was probably the best intro song out of the bunch, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, so the one that I'm going to be talking about is actually the one that I was not most hyped. We'll get to the one that I was most hyped about later, but this was second place, very close second. This one's called Metallic Rouge. So I'm going to paint the picture, because they gave us the setting, but it's one of these shows where they don't really tell us too much about it. They drew us in. They put the setting, we're on Mars. There's this kind of cyberpunk vibe going on, and there's androids that are fueled by something called nectar. We don't know too much about it. We're given a little tidbit, though. Apparently, if humans use nectar, then it is the most euphoric thing you could possibly do. So basically, it's a drug. Androids use it to function. Humans could get high off of it. So it is a very, very high in demand substance. We're shown a little bit of their world. You know, people going to bars, people doing all this stuff, a lot of androids getting put to work and being treated pretty poorly. And we're also given our main character, Miss Metal Rouge. And we are told that apparently there are 9 immortal androids out there. Now, what exactly happened, we aren't fully told, but we can kind of assume that Earth was destroyed and that's why we're on Mars. And these androids had something to do with it. So Metal Rouge is on the hunt for all of them. And she is what's known as a Red Gladiator. Pretty freaking cool. We get some other characters thrown in there, but overall, this seems like one of those series that's going to unfold as we go. They don't give you too much information in the first episode, but badass world. Like, I love the cyberpunk stuff. These androids that function basically as people, and some of them are so close to the real thing that you wouldn't even know it. So it just seems super badass. And also this idea where they could kind of hide the way that they look. So to us, they put on some kind of like some sort of like cloaking thing that makes them appear human, or some sort of transformation. I'm not entirely sure yet, but there is scenes where all of a sudden they show what they really look like, and then in an instant they're back to being human. Really interesting stuff. What did you think about it, Mandrew? This is one of the ones that we watched separately.
So I did have to watch it twice, just like you, because I didn't really catch all of it the first time. It was very sci-fi and cyberpunk stuff. You know, I like it, but I get drawn into other genres. It was cool, but I want to know where it goes. I think the biggest draw for me is the societal aspect of this, like you were talking about the androids. And the biggest thing for me is I want to see more of that world where like the humans are mistreating these androids, and they are like people, and they survive on this nectar. And there's a scene in there where this one android's very nice, and he gives his nectar to another android for the day because hers got stolen, and he's freaking out later on trying to get it back from this human, and they won't do it, and he dies because of it. So there's some real stakes there, and they're only given so much a day. I kind of like that. I know it's messed up, but I want to see more of that whole world.
It'll be interesting for sure. It's also pretty cool too for anybody out there that watches like we do a majority of these shows in English. The dub comes out the exact same day as the sub, so that's always a nice convenience.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, now we're going to move on to the next one, which I'll also be covering. This one is called The Witch and the Beast. So we're brought into a kind of modern day-ish society where witches are a thing. Magic and somewhat modern-ish society go hand in hand. Now we have evil witches. We have a evil group of witches that plagued society and did terrible things to humans. And we're introduced to our two main characters, one being the beast and one being the witch. Now, which is which? I'll let you figure out if you want to check this one out, because I made my guesses and I was wrong. So I thought that was a little bit of an interesting thing.
Like, did you guess before you knew?
I guessed based on the cover art.
Okay, gotcha.
I guessed based on the cover art, and I was very, very wrong.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But super fun, fun is probably the wrong word. Super interesting show with the first episode. Kind of gave me Tokyo Ghoul vibes with the idea of people doing certain things and luring people in with very, very ill intentions, just hiding right under the surface.
Yep.
And it also has, in the same vein as a Tokyo Ghoul, this very, very dark, like, underlying thing that's going on. And we're also introduced to the idea of curses being a thing. That's one of the first things they talk about in the show. They talk about a witch's curse can only be broken by a few things. And we're given a kiss from Prince Charming. So somebody with the purest love and affection, and it has to be mutual between you two. A change of the evil doer's heart. So the witch themselves has to have a change of heart and take it back. And then there's things to alleviate it, like kissing a witch, which was interesting to me. We aren't specifically told what the curse is. I kind of made an assumption, but it seems kind of like I'm wrong. I don't know. What did you think about this? This is the other one that we watched separately.
Yeah.
So
I really like this, and you know what? I'm gonna talk about my assumption.
All right.
I think it's the. I'm not gonna be specific about it, just in case I'll let you watch this, but I think it's the appearance. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That could definitely be part of it. That's what I was thinking too, but
it's more than an appearance, though.
I was like thinking, what if that's just part of what they do? Like another form of magic that they haven't explicitly told us about. And that's why it was such a surprise.
Yeah, well, we'll find out eventually, but I liked it. I think this world's very cool. And the whole magic thing, I get drawn into magic, so I'm all in right off the bat. The characters seem cool. There was a big twist with the with what was going on in that town, which was very dark, but it was interesting, like you said.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where the series goes, and the characters I already like. You know, it's not a spoiler. We have like a very bratty, very, very heavy, aggressive attitude female. And then we have the very cool, calm guy who's like just trying to keep her in check. She's like, hey, chill out. Like, we're trying to get this done. And I always like that kind of dynamic. It's always fun.
Oh, yeah. They keep each other in check.
Yeah. And then when one of them has to step up to help out the other, they do so. So it's always a fun dynamic to see stuff like that.
All right, man. You ready? You ready for me to get into this next one?
I don't think the people are ready to hear this.
I don't think the people are ready either. And I'm going to throw out spoilers because you need to know about this.
That's probably a good idea.
So this is a warning, as StephenShred called it before I watched it. It is a very degenerate show. The way I described it afterwards was it's an anime that you don't want to watch with your friends or admit that you watch. It's one of those.
Yep.
So this one is called Chained Soldier. Now, this is actually a pretty cool world. It is modern day, and the males are pretty much second-class citizens. Females have all the power. Literally, they are granted powers. Every female is granted powers. You don't know by what yet, but they're granted powers and males are not. So males basically have mediocre lives. They can't really rise too much. All the females end up, being the big shots. And then you're introduced to these portals that open up and drag people into another dimension. And in this dimension are like monsters and demons, and these portals just open up out of nowhere. And inside this dimension, there are very powerful females that are part of this force that keeps these demons in check. And this is where it gets weird. There is a main character that is a gentleman just out of high school looking for a job, and he's really good at housekeeping. Like his classmates really praise him for that. He's super good at that. He can sew, he can do all sorts of stuff because of his big sister. And he gets pulled into this other world. He was going out job hunting, kind of scared about what he was going to do because he doesn't want to have a mediocre life. He wants to do something grand. And he is thrown into this dimension and almost killed and saved by this big boobied commander who has powers. They all have powers. She's super good at fighting. Her swordsmanship is great. And her power, it turns out to be very weird. She can throw a chain on things and control them and make them more powerful. So she comes riding in on this beast, one of these monsters, controlling it. It's more powerful, but they keep dropping because they're just not strong enough. So she has an idea. She's never tried it on a man before. And he turns into this powerful monster, but he has to agree to be her slave. And that's what they call it. So Chained Soldier is literal. He has to wear this magical chain to become this powerful creature to help out. But he is so subjugated that they make him the housekeeper for the dorm with all the other girls, and they mess with him constantly. He cleans their clothes, he cooks for them, he cleans the house, and there's some scenes in there that are definitely, what did you say, not safe for work?
Yep.
There's nudity, they're all big boobied, lots of nudity, lots of sexual tension, lots of weirdness with them just messing with the male character, and a scene where he's able to transform without the woman there by licking her boot that she left behind. So there's that going on. I won't be watching this anymore. Wink. So what did you think about it?
I went off of because the way that I find out about a lot of these shows, some of them I'm just cruising around on Crunchyroll and I'll check them out. This one is on High Dive, and the way that I found out about it was through Twitter, because I saw him fighting the demon things. I'm like, that looks pretty cool. Let's check that out. And then lo and behold, it's not really about that.
It's a BDSM show.
I thought it was like good enough as far as the rest of it goes to warrant actually checking out. Cause some stuff just, dumb booby anime.
Yeah. But it's actually cool, like the fighting scenes and everything.
Yeah, the fighting scenes are cool. The characters are cool. It's just, they have the added thing. And it kind of reminds me of High School DxD, but High School DxD was way hornier. Like the main character, that's all he could ever talk about, and that's all he ever wanted. So that's like a big part of it. They use that to like get him to do things. But with this one, it actually had like good world building and like a good concept, like, you know, right underneath the veil that we know as the normal world, there's this other one, and you just randomly get pulled into it. So there has to be these constant people that are in there patrolling, ready to roll the moment it happens. So I really liked that. The other stuff, a little weird. You know, I'm not a step on me mommy kind of guy. But you know, we'll check this out. We'll see. You know, we will be the eyes and ears for you if you do not want to check this out. But if you do want to check it out, High Dive show is called Chained Soldier.
Yeah, and we will not be doing a review on the season if we watch it, which we won't.
Of course not. All right, so I'm gonna take us home. Last one we're gonna talk about, and it's gonna be complete opposite of Chained Soldier. This one is called A Sign of Affection. It was actually super cute and super wholesome. So basically, it is about a deaf girl who is in college. She is on the train one day, and a foreigner, which I assume is an American, because somebody comes and helps her. A fellow college-aged person, being a man though, they speak English, which is always funny to hear because it always seems so out of place. So he speaks English to the foreigner. He helps her out of the situation because the foreigner's trying to talk to her and she's deaf and she's not very good at lip reading. So then her and the guy that helped her out begin talking. She has a crush on him, and she comes to find that it's actually one of her friend's classmates, I believe is what he is. And so they pursue hanging out with him, and we just kind of get to see the world through her eyes. It's not really highlighting her disability in a way that's like other shows or like other movies have it, where somebody has a disability and they kind of show us people being mean to them and, you know, the terrible things that people will say and do to those with disabilities. This is just, she just happens to be deaf, which I could really appreciate, you know, just seeing the world through somebody else's eyes and not in a negative way or anything like that. I thought it was really cute and wholesome. And they had a few cute moments in there because she's bad at lip reading, where her friend's talking to her and trying to tell her something, and then she's just like, automobile? What? So then they start texting back and forth so that she could understand her because she doesn't know sign language. And then the guy does over-exaggerated mouth movements to make sure that she could understand what he's saying because he doesn't know how to sign, and they didn't have each other's numbers. So just very, very cute, wholesome show. That, again, is called Sign of Affection, and that's on Crunchyroll. So definitely recommend this for just a feel-good watch. Only seen the first episode so far, but if the rest of the series is like the first episode, then I'm sure it's going to be wholesome with some laughs in there.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up, but I want to mention something. I want to mention the one that you were more hyped about.
Yes.
That we're going to do its own episode because it's so good. Only one episode out so far. We're going to wait till 3 come out and then do it. It is called Solo Leveling. Why don't you throw out a few words about this one? Just a couple.
Just a couple? All right. Let's go for a fantasy type show. Again, where there's a layer in between our world and another. People have powers, and our main character is the weakest. But for how long? We don't know. We'll see.
Perfect. That would draw me in. Now, I know you have at least one other one to talk about, one or two. There's second seasons that started.
Yes. So anybody that does watch these shows, or anybody that hasn't watched these shows and wants to catch up, we have 2 shows that I really enjoy. One of them was one of the top 5 animes from last year for mine, and was it your list as well? I can't remember.
I think it wasn't in the list of top 5 animes, but the intro and outro.
So number 1 up, season 2 just started. That would be Mashal, Magic and Muscles. So think One Punch Man in the universe of Harry Potter. A guy who lives in a world where everybody could do magic except for him. So what does he do? He works out to the point where his muscles can outdo any magic. And it is one of the funniest shows I've ever seen.
So great.
Absolutely ridiculous show. Every single time he has to go up against something to prove that he has magic, just muscles it out, and it is the most ridiculous thing ever. And the music is great. Then the other show, Dangers in My Heart. This one is a romantic comedy show. It definitely has a little weirdness to it because we're basically following this edgy emo kid, because they're supposed to be about 14, I believe. And you know, you got your edgy 14-year-old emo kids. His whole thing is he has a fixation on this girl in his class. So he has this guise of, oh, I'm gonna murder her one day. Oh, like I'm obsessed with serial killers kind of thing. But in truth, he just has a really hard crush on her. He's very socially awkward. Nobody talks to him. He was bullied. All these different things. And it turns into this really wholesome thing where he starts getting to know her, and a lot of the really cringy edges of his personality and everything start to go away. So season 2 just started. This one, again, is on High Dive, though. So if you're looking to check out a show that's pretty wholesome, but also will kind of remind you what it was like to be at that age, because there's just little things in there that I'm like, man, I remember when I used to be like that. It's like, man, I was a weirdo. So it kind of puts you back into that thing where, you know, these are like 14-year-old kids. They have crushes. They're awkward about it. I personally think it's just a really cute show. And season 2 just started up last week. So that's my ongoing series that we're covering.
All right. Well, that's some good anime so far. Yeah, we'll see how these shows go. Like the last one, you talked about Free Ren, where you were like, yeah, I like it, but it turned out to be like the best show ever. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep. I believe I had only watched one episode at that point.
Yeah, I think you had.
Yeah, look forward to our Free Ren episode.
Yep.
Part 1.
All right, everyone. We will catch you later.
See you, nerds.